Hi, this is Dr. Minkoff, LifeWorks Wellness Center. Today I want to talk to you about toxins and brain fog. So the brain is made out of individual cells called neurons. The job of a neuron is it's a communication. It's like a cable. It's like a track that information can go down on. So you have the thought, lift my arm. That thought triggers an electrical reaction in the motor strip of the brain, and that neuron fires. And when it fires, an impulse goes along that, down your neck, out to your shoulder muscle, and it interacts with your shoulder muscle, and when it fires, the muscle contracts and you lift it up. So that neuron network is hundreds of billions of neurons. They go throughout the whole body. And they can be triggered by thought, or by just reactions to things. Like if I go like this and my arm jumps, it was a nervous system reaction. The stretch of the tendon here sets off the nerve to fire to make the muscle react. So that's the point of our nervous system. And since it integrates with everything in the body, can you imagine how complicated the nervous system is? You're walking along. The sidewalk has a little bit of unevenness in it. You stub your toe on the stone in the sidewalk that's a little raised up. You're about to lose your balance and fall down. And then 50 million neurons fire so that your other leg goes out, your other one goes back. You shift your body this way. You do this. Your heart speeds up and you don't fall down. And it all happened within a millisecond. So this is going on all the time. There are impulses being received all the time from the inside and the outside, and the nervous system is completely shifting and blocking and doing this stuff. So we can stay here and we can react and we can keep our body temperature and our blood pressure and the right amount of oxygen, the right amount of sodium, the right amount of testosterone, the right amount of gazillions of things, and we can stay alive. And when we're not alive anymore, it's because the nervous system couldn't manipulate those things good enough to keep everything going the way it's supposed to. So when we talk about the brain and neurons, toxins can affect these neurons. So what if the neuron has to fire at a certain rate to get this to happen? Let's say you put your finger on a hot plate by accident. And the response should be so fast, without even thinking of it, just a nervous system reaction, that you get your finger off there before it's severely burned. But what if the nerve cells are poisoned to the point where they're a little bit slow? Like, not much, maybe a half a second slow. So it's touch it, 1/1. Now it's burned. Now what if you're trying to add 2 plus 2? And it's slow. And it should be 2 plus 2, 4. 3 plus 3, 6. And you go to someone who's got brain fog, where they've got toxins affecting their nervous system. And you go, what's 2 plus 2? Let's see, 2. And then if we add 2 more, that's 4. Okay? Now, you're not going to survive very well. Think of trying to drive if you've got brain fog. And there's traffic, and there's people. You're gonna have trouble. You're gonna hurt yourself or hurt somebody or get in a wreck because you're not really there getting the information that you're supposed to and reacting the way you're supposed to. And if your brain has toxins in it, that could be your fate. Okay? It could be that your blood pressure is not controlled right, that it's way too high. Why is the blood pressure so high? Well, the neurons that affect blood pressure could be toxic. And sometimes a toxic reaction is an over of what is supposed to happen, and sometimes it's an under. So someone has a toxic nervous system, and their blood pressure is running 200 over 120. Because the nerve cells are firing in an abnormal way, and they're not keeping the balance that they're supposed to. Or what if the blood pressure is 80 over 60? Same thing. They should detect it's low. They should make a response, but they're toxic, they're poisoned, and they don't do it. So this can affect all aspects. Okay? What if a person is anxious all the time and they've got a toxic brain? Now, when their brain isn't toxic, they don't really get anxious unless it's something very threatening that they're really worried about, which would be appropriate. But what if their nervous system is so not in communication with the environment that it's got everything on high alert, and they hear a cat meow and they go like this? It could be because they have a toxic brain. We find that almost all people who end up in psychiatry offices and get put on drugs have a physical problem with their brain and their nervous system. They're not crazy. They're depressed for not some real reason. It wasn't that their best friend died and they're depressed. It's that they're depressed and you ask them, like, what is going on that is so depressing, and they're not even sure what it is. It's a toxic brain. Now, is it mold toxins? Is it toxins from some infection like Lyme or Epstein-Barr virus, or some sinus bug that's causing it, or a pesticide or a chemical or a heavy metal that's in their environment that they don't even know it? I had a couple in the office a few weeks ago. They both came in because they were feeling fatigue and brain fog. They're in their late 40s. They didn't have a bad lifestyle. They ate reasonable food. They didn't take drugs. They had a normal physical examination. And I did a screen on their urine for environmental toxins. And I found that they both had a very high level of a chemical called HTBE. This is a chemical that is added to gasoline in order to improve the octane so the gasoline burns better. So I said, you guys both have it very high, like normal is in the 5,000 range for most people around here, because there's gas fumes in the air and we smell them. And theirs were in the 40,000 range. And the other 23 toxins that we looked for in the test were all within range. Okay? So it was a very specific toxin that both people were being exposed to. Now, this could come from a leaky exhaust pipe in someone's car. It could come from fumes from working with gasoline, or engines that are on, or with direct exposure to gasoline on the skin, or snorting, smelling gasoline. And none of that was true in them. And then what we figured out was their home office, they both work from home, is right next to their garage. And in their garage, they store gasoline in containers because they have boats and motorcycles, and they keep their own gasoline supply. And their things weren't tightly sealed, and the gasoline fumes were going into the garage, and then the exhaust system in the garage, or the heating system in the garage, was directly connected with the home office, and they were both inhaling these fumes, and they were both toxic from it, and they both had brain fog and fatigue. And we detoxed them of this chemical, and we got them to take their gasoline canisters and do a new shed that was 100 yards from the house, and then clean out the garage so the garage was free of fumes, and their brain fog went away. So most likely, if you have a problem with inflammation in your brain, or autoimmune with your brain, or you have brain fog, or you can't think, or you can't remember, or you can't sleep, or you're depressed, there is a reason. And if they went to the family doctor, the psychiatrist, and they got Prozac for that, it might have covered up the symptom while the toxin persisted and injured them further. So our job, my job, is to find what is the reason that you feel the way you feel. And unless a person is looking very specifically for these things, they will not be found. The physical exam is usually normal. The CBC and the CMP, the routine blood tests and EKG, are usually normal. The brain MRI is normal. You will not see it on there, but it's there. And it can be discovered if the practitioner has the know-how to do it. And that's our specialty here at LifeWorks. So if that's a problem for you, then you should get in here, because we're really good at figuring it out. And if we figure it out, you don't have to live with that problem anymore. And it will guarantee you future better health and better longevity. Okay? Hope this helps.